I never thought I'd be writing this kind of story, but after everything that happened, I need to get it out somewhere before it eats me alive. My wife and I have been together 8 years, married for 4. We weren't rich, we weren't flashy, but we were stable. Or at least I thought we were. We had routines, shared friends, weekend trips, inside jokes. She used to call me her safe place. Somewhere along the line, I stopped being that and became something she wanted to escape from. It didn't happen overnight. It started with small changes. She stayed late at work more often. She stopped answering calls. She kept her phone face down. When I asked if something was wrong, she told me I was paranoid and insecure. I apologized for even asking. That was my first mistake. The discovery happened on a random Sunday when her phone died, and she asked to use mine to log into her email. Later that night, I opened my browser and saw her account still logged in. A message popped up from someone named R. It said, "I hate sleeping without you." My hand started shaking. I clicked it. I shouldn't have, but I did. Months of messages, photos, plans, jokes about how clueless I was. She told him she loved him. She told him she was only with me for stability. She told him she was waiting for the right moment to leave. The worst part was realizing she'd been coming home from his place and kissing me like nothing happened. When I confronted her, she denied it, then cried, then blamed me, then admitted everything, then said it wasn't serious, then said she was confused, then said I'd push her into it. Every version contradicted the last. I didn't know which lie hurt most. After that, everything unraveled. I found out she'd been moving money into a private account. She'd told friends I was emotionally abusive. She'd hinted to her family that I was unstable. She'd been building a story where I was the bad guy long before I knew there was even a problem. One night she told me calmly that if I tried to leave, she'd make sure people knew what I was really like. That was the moment fear replaced heartbreak. I started recording conversations, saving messages, documenting everything. A week later, her affair partner's wife contacted me. We compared timelines and realized they'd been lying to both of us for over a year. Another week later, my wife tried to come back, crying, saying she made a mistake, saying she chose me. 2 days after that, I caught her texting him again. I stopped responding. I moved out. I hired a lawyer. The divorce was ugly. She accused me of things I'd never done. I proved they were lies. She lost friends. She lost credibility. She lost me. Now, almost a year later, I live alone in a small apartment with secondhand furniture and a strange sense of peace. I still have nights where I replay everything and wonder how I missed it. I still have moments where I feel stupid for trusting so deeply. But I've learned something I wish I'd known earlier. Someone who truly loves you doesn't make you doubt your reality, doesn't build escape plans behind your back, doesn't turn your loyalty into a weakness. I didn't lose my marriage. I escaped a life that was slowly being dismantled without my consent. And even though it broke me for a while, it also saved me. After I moved out, I thought the hardest part was over. I was wrong. The silence was worse than the fights. No more late-night arguments, no more fake apologies, no more pretending everything was fine. Just me, four walls, and memories that wouldn't shut up. She kept trying to reach out at first. Long messages about how she was working on herself. Voice notes crying. Then sudden anger when I didn't reply. She told mutual friends I had abandoned her, that I had given up too easily. Some believed her. That hurt more than I expected. Losing her was painful, but losing people I thought were my friends because of her lies felt like another betrayal. A few months later, I found out she'd moved in with the same guy she swore meant nothing. That should have crushed me, but instead it gave me clarity. It proved every instinct I tried to ignore had been right. I started therapy. Learned how much of myself I'd minimized to keep her comfortable. How often I'd accepted blame for things that weren't mine. Slowly, I began trusting my own voice again. I started going to the gym, reconnected with my brother, picked up hobbies I dropped years ago. For the first time in a long time, my life wasn't built around someone else's moods and secrets. Sometimes I still miss the version of her I thought I married, but I don't miss the anxiety. I don't miss checking phones. I don't miss feeling small in my own home. If I could talk to my past self, I'd tell him this. Love isn't supposed to feel like survival. You're not weak for staying. You're strong for leaving. And starting over isn't failure. Sometimes it's the bravest thing you'll ever do. With more distance, I started seeing things I'd been blind to for years. Little moments that didn't make sense back, then suddenly clicked into place. The way she dismissed my concerns as drama. How every serious conversation somehow turned into me apologizing. How I'd slowly stop talking about my dreams because she'd roll her eyes or change the subject. I hadn't just lost a marriage. I'd lost parts of myself trying to keep it alive. That realization hurt, but it was also freeing. It meant I wasn't broken. I'd been worn down. About 6 months after the divorce, she called me from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer. She sounded different, tired. She said things hadn't worked out with him, that he'd cheated on her too, that she finally understood how much she'd hurt me. She asked if we could meet just to talk. For a moment, the old feelings rushed back. Then I remembered the lies, the threats, the manipulation. I told her I wished her well and hung up. My hands were shaking, but my heart felt steady. That was growth. Since then, life has been quiet in the best way. No chaos, no constant doubt, just routines I chose for myself. Morning coffee on the balcony, evening walks, weekend with friends who actually listen. I've started dating again, slowly, carefully. I don't rush trust anymore. I don't ignore red flags. And I don't apologize for having boundaries. What happened didn't just teach me how to survive betrayal. It taught me how to respect myself. I wouldn't wish that pain on anyone, but I won't pretend it didn't change me. It did. It made me stronger, clearer, and finally honest about what I deserve. The strangest part is realizing that I don't hate her anymore. For a long time, I thought anger was what kept me standing. It gave me energy. It made everything feel justified. But one day, I noticed it was gone. Not replaced by forgiveness, not by nostalgia. Just gone. She became a chapter, not the whole book. A mistake, not my identity. That's when I knew I was really healing. I've learned to sit with uncomfortable emotions instead of running from them. Some nights I still feel lonely. Some mornings I wake up missing the idea of having my person. But I remind myself that being alone is better than being lied to in your own bed. Better than questioning your worth because someone else couldn't be honest. Better than shrinking to fit into someone else's excuses. Now, when people ask why I'm so careful with relationships, I don't give them the whole story. I just say I learned the hard way. I learned that loyalty means nothing to someone who's already planning their exit. That love without respect turns toxic fast. And that protecting your peace is more important than saving something that's already broken. If you're reading this and you're still stuck in a relationship that feels wrong, confusing, exhausting, please listen to yourself. You're not weak. You're not crazy. You're not asking for too much. You're asking the wrong person. I waited too long because I was afraid of starting over. Now I know starting over was the best thing I ever did. Looking back now, I realize how close I came to losing myself completely. There were months when I didn't recognize the person in the mirror. I was tired all the time, anxious for no clear reason, constantly second-guessing every thought. I blamed work, stress, life. I never considered that the relationship itself was draining me. When you live in uncertainty long enough, it becomes normal. You start thinking that constant worry is just part of love. It isn't. I've started keeping a journal, mostly to remind myself of how far I've come. Sometimes I read old entries from right after everything fell apart, pages full of confusion, self-blame, and desperate attempts to make sense of lies that never made sense. It's painful, but it's also proof that I survived something I once thought would destroy me. That matters. Recently, a younger coworker told me he was afraid his girlfriend might be cheating, but felt guilty even thinking it. I saw myself in him. I told him what I wish someone had told me. Pay attention to patterns, not promises. Anyone can cry. Anyone can apologize. What matters is what they do when no one is watching. He thanked me. Maybe he'll listen. Maybe he won't. But at least I didn't stay silent like I once did. I don't know what the future holds. Maybe I'll remarry one day. Maybe I won't. For the first time, that doesn't scare me. My happiness isn't tied to someone else's honesty anymore. It's tied to my own. And that feels like real freedom.